I'm Danny Hicks. Welcome to the Not So Secret Agent podcast, where we learn from top real estate agents how they maintain a thriving business, all while living the good. Pat Flynn, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. It took us a minute to get this scheduled, but definitely worth it.
Great. Thanks, Danny. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Just want to get right into it because I am super excited about having you on, which was definitely worth the wait. Tell me a little bit about how you got started in real estate.
So I got started right out of college. Went to college. I'm from Chicago. Went to college in Illinois. Graduated, had done an internship in DC during my junior summer, and had taken a class in real estate theory. So I really liked real estate. Graduated a degree in urban and regional planning. I didn't plan on being a city planner, but obviously ties into a little bit of real estate development. And moved out here and kind of fell into it. I started in commercial real estate for about a year. I hated it. It was a cutthroat business, and met a mentor of mine who kind of talked me into doing residential real estate out here, and have been doing it for now 26 years.
So 26 years ago, were you doing the same things you're doing today, or has it kind of evolved? Like, did you?
No, it's definitely, oh my gosh, yeah, it's grown. I mean, back 26 years ago, we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have, I think we were still faxing contracts and press hard 3 copies. Not to date myself there, but yeah, it's a lot has changed. My business has changed. I've gotten to a point where I just basically handle the listings on our group.
Mhm.
We do buyers as well, but most of the buyers are worked through our team members. I've got a team there's 6 of us total. So I've got my office manager who kind of runs the whole group. Myself, I've got 2 agents here in our Reston, Virginia office. And then we've got an expansion team in West Virginia where we've got my office manager runs that, and then 2 other agents there, and then 1 support person who's just very part-time who runs our social media stuff.
Very cool. And so, when you started out, were you working by referral immediately once you left commercial, or did you kind of struggle in the woods for a minute, or what'd that look like?
Definitely struggled. I'm Irish, so I come from a background with a strong family. I like people. I like meeting people and having them part of your life. And at the very beginning, I felt that it was quickly becoming a kind of a rat race to where I was the hamster on the wheel. I was always looking for that next deal. I was making the magic happen. And then I felt like I had to move on to find the next client to make money. So quickly, thankfully, I fell into the Brian Buffini referral system. I met him in November of 2000, so shortly after I started,
Hmm.
and have been coached by them for now, I guess it's going on 14 years, or sorry, 24 years. So fell into that early, and that taught me that you can actually have relationships with people and have kind of rely on them for future business versus just continually hunting. I mean, that's what I felt like. I was always hunting, 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 and that's part of the business. But when you meet good people, you kind of want to keep them in
Hmm.
your system and get to know them and have a relationship with them. So
It's always great when you get like a really good client, and you're almost, I don't want to say you're sad that it's over, because you do get your paycheck and you've accomplished your goal,
right,
but it's definitely great to maintain that relationship.
yeah, and and again, I say this, one of the tough parts of the business is during the transaction, you're so intensely connected with them.
Hmm.
I mean, you can be texting them daily and on the phone with them and seeing them, and then that transaction ends, and it's almost like there's a separation anxiety. Like, like you go, you're like, oh, I don't, I feel like I have to text them today and say something, and I think both for the client as well as you do kind of move forward, and that there is an immediate separation where you're not talking to them daily anymore, and it's an interesting part of the business.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say you're like number three or number two in their cell phone behind their spouse
yes,
during that transaction. They're gonna drop everything and answer that phone, and it's so
absolutely.
important. And then you're not, and then it gets a little worse and a little worse. I mean, you'll always talk, but I mean, you definitely fade into the background till they need you again, somewhat. I mean, you can't
And I think
be.
the test for that would be you call them a couple days after the transaction, and the first words out of their mouth may be, "Is everything okay?" Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm just calling to say hi. I miss you.
Well, but you did nail that. I mean, you definitely get that. They're like, wait, like
Is
I don't
everything
have to give
okay?
it back, do I? Like, you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
So
That's funny. Um, I know we talked about your why a little bit, and I want to get to that. But I did, we were talking kind of some of the estate attorney stuff, and we've gone down that rabbit hole on the show quite a bit. But you do something a little bit different that I wanted to touch on before we got to the why, because we're definitely going to spend a lot of time on your why. I'm really excited about that part. So I know you had said that you were talking about doing like estate services, like almost as a separate company.
correct.
Um,
So we started, so officially last year. We've been doing it, but not formally.
mhm,
I had a trust attorney who I've worked very closely with, kind of um, pushed me along the path to get to this point. So we started an LLC that basically Estate Management Solutions is what it's called, and it runs my estate and trust side of my business, which is about 50% of our my active listings. So I work closely with a lot of estate, trust, elder care law attorneys, executors, trustees, managing the process to getting properties ready for sale. Sometimes it's just management of getting them. They may need a couple, almost babysitting for a period of time until the family decides what they want to do with. So we created a system that we can market as a value add to our clients.
mhm.
And the estate attorneys, they love it because if we're not doing it, then they're the ones who have to do it and figure it out. And they'd rather lean on our relationships that we have. I'm also a BNI person, so I've got a really good network within my BNI chapter of contractors.
Mhm.
So it's very easy for me to get these properties and pretty much have everyone I need to service it, whether it be from electrical or plumbing to HVAC to roofing or landscaping, even snow removal. We've got guys to do kind of everything. So we can manage and babysit those properties during that period of time. And our end goal, obviously, is that we know the property best at the end of that time when the family says, okay, we're ready to sell. And we hope that we're first in line for them to say, can we talk to you about selling it?
Yeah, I've had, because you and I talked about this, and I do quite a bit of the estate stuff as well. And I've had attorneys bring that up to me, and I'm a little gun shy about that company idea. And really, this is a question. I
Mm-hmm.
used to have a
Yep.
property management company, and it was the same. We were managing rental property, but I found that people thought of me as a property manager, and then they'd be like, "Oh, I sold my $1 million house," and you're going, "Well, like, I kind of clean up all your messes. You finally have money, and now like I'm out." Like, is that a concern? Do you run into that at all, or not at all?
It hasn't been at this time. Um, I'm pretty transparent that when I actually have a separate business card that I created
Hmm.
that has I mean, it still has all my realtor information, but it actually says the Estate Management Solutions Company. And I'm pretty transparent. It's almost said in again, I'm Irish, so I like to tell jokes. It's almost said in a joking fashion, like, my end game or my real, hidden agenda is that I want your real estate referrals. However, to serve you and to prove myself, I offer this service as a value add to you during a process of an estate or a trust. And I've gotten really great feedback from it.
Hmm.
And I've even now joined some estate planning networks that gives me the platform to kind of talk about it and advertise it. And a lot of folks that I meet, they say, "Well, I haven't heard of this. This is really intriguing. Let me hear more." So I've actually gotten pretty good positive feedback from a
Hmm.
standpoint of it's pretty unique and people want to learn more about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
So,
think the real value add is getting into those separate associations and getting into rooms realtors can't get into.
correct.
Right. I think that part's really, really cool. Yeah.
Because if you call as a realtor, you're going to get a different
Yes.
answer than if you call from another angle. Another very side bit of this is I'm actually I don't know if this is helpful, but I'm a closet coin collector. I have a coin collection. My dad was a coin collector, but I actually am involved enough to where I can certify a collection. So a lot of our estate attorneys will call me to evaluate a coin collection. I kind of do it on the side,
Hmm.
but again, it gets me to work with them, show who I am, get that little bit of that relationship kind of started, and then I drop in the estate management solutions. We can help you with other stuff other
Hmm.
than just this. And again, what I've seen is that it's going to grow into more real estate transactions over time. It's just a nurturing relationship that I've been doing. I just finally formalized it, and I'm making it work now a little bit more, I guess, better or clearer as an understanding for everyone involved.
Yeah,
So
I think you're doing what we do on all the transactions. You're adding value and creating the relationship while you add that value. You're just getting in earlier, right? You're
right,
getting in before they're like, we haven't made a decision on a realtor yet, but we definitely need the snow removed. Who do we call? And
right,
taking that off the attorney's plate, because the attorney doesn't want to hire anyone, and even worse, they don't want it to not happen, right?
right.
And then you also doing the formal company, you're going to use subcontractors, but they're coming through your company, and you're going to provide the correct documentation for them to be able to put that on their register, right? Because every dollar that the estate is spending until they clear that needs to be tracked. So,
Correct.
so I'm sure that that is a huge value add also, because yeah, you can hire, Frank to come and shovel the snow, but Frank, the neighbor who would do it and is right there, is not going to give you the documentation and the receipts you need.
Right.
So
And we built, and again, we invoice separately for our time. I mean, we are
yeah,
getting
oh
paid
yeah,
while
yeah,
we're providing the service, so we do bill separately for that time spent, and I track it and all that stuff, and we send out bills as needed. But again, the end game is I'm not gonna become richer by that time I spend doing that. It's really long game in terms of being able to build those relationships to where I become one of the realtors that they recommend when they have an estate or a trust that gets put on their plate. So
But Pat, I got to be honest, I'm impressed that you get paid at all for it, because usually we do all that and we get nothing. They're like, it's great,
yeah, so if I get the if I have the signed listing, then that's part of our value add. We don't charge.
right?
But if I'm literally babysitting things until the family makes a decision, then I am charging
Yeah,
for the time. Yeah,
very cool. Well, and that's even more of an incentive for
an
them to
extra
sign,
revenue stream that I've created.
right? And you can pay some admins or
Yep.
whatever with it.
I'm not shoveling the snow, promise you.
No,
No,
what?
I don't even like to shovel my own snow.
Yeah, I was gonna say I always feel that way when they're talking about cleaning and stuff like that. I'm like, I hire a cleaning lady at home. Why would
Yeah,
I come and clean your house? Like that. That's not. You wouldn't want me to do it anyway. I'm not good at it.
right.
Yeah, that's funny. So, so we talked a little bit about the estate stuff. What is your day to day activity like? I know you've got this whole support structure, but I mean, are you going and doing pop buys yourself, for example, or do you do blitzes with that, or is that a team thing? What does that look like?
So like for our pop by schedule, we I group everything around our team. So
Mm-hmm.
like right now we're working on our St. Patrick's Day lottery cards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something we've done every year for the last couple of years. It's just a mail out, but we basically, we got the card designed. I pay for the card for the team. They commit to how many they're going to each send out. They buy their own lottery tickets. They pay for their own postage and address them and stuff like that, and they get them shipped out. So that's one thing. We used to do a big St. Patrick's Day party.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped at COVID. We haven't picked it back up. It's probably coming back next year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big event. Again, we get the team involved. I pay for it. They just got to invite their people. If we're doing pop buys, again, we design the idea. We maybe provide the item, and then I just get the team to commit to doing X number of them to get them out to do it. I still do. I mean, when we're doing Popeyes, I'm still that face doing them. Um, uh, Again, wouldn't say that I do as many as I used to. I used to do Halloween Popeyes to every. My database is just matured as well. I
Right.
mean, my own kids are getting older, and my clients' kids are getting older. So, the 20-year-olds on my database don't want a bag of candy from me anymore like they did, 15 years ago.
You're, dro-
So
you're
it's just changing and
you're
evolving.
dropping off shots. You're
Yeah,
like, here you
exactly.
go.
Exactly. It's changed a lot.
Yeah. Do you
Our
find,
game.
as the team lead, you're going to do the pop by, and they're like, "Is business that bad, Pat? Like that you're gonna be out here?" No,
I don't think so. I mean, I I, I pick the ones I want to see the most.
that's technically what we're supposed to be doing anyway. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was when I first started this, I was like, "Man, I do a pop by because they're not responding, and I want them to respond." But if they're telling you that, then I don't know. You should listen to what they're saying, I guess is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's funny. That's like when we were talking when we did the pre-interview and you were talking about if Brian Buffini ever showed up to your office to do a pop by. Though
Yes,
you might be a little concerned.
I would be like, "Are you all right, Brian? Good to see you. Let's go get a Guinness, but are you all right?"
Yeah. What now? Where do we go from here?
Yeah,
I'd be
that would be
petrified. He might ask to see my calendar.
different. Ugh,
You know what I
that'd be
mean?
scary.
So let's talk a little bit about why, because I know your
Okay.
why is stronger. Because sometimes I hit this question and people say, "Yep, for my family," and that's a great answer, and it's
Yeah.
very powerful because it only has to motivate you. But in your case, your why is so strong that I mean, I feel like I was motivated just hearing about it. You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, my why, the answer I always give is time off. So when it was the eve of my 26th birthday. I was 25 years old, I guess, that night. My wife and I, we just been married six weeks. We were at dinner, and I passed out at a restaurant. Uh, Ended up, long story short, I ended up in the hospital. I ended up having a cardiac arrest. I was brought back. They kept me for a couple days to do various tests on me. I have a rare disease that caused basically a V tachycardia, which gave me a heart attack. I've since have a defibrillator implant in me. I'm healthy. I'm good. Knock on wood. But it's still part of my life that happened, and it changed a lot of the things that I do. So from that point forward, I did not have kids at the time. We have two children now. But for me, really, life experiences and taking time off is one of the biggest rocks in my in my world, because I know that I'm here. Kind of, I look at it as a second chance, and I don't want to goof this one up. So, for me, I take about 150 days off a year, which people always ask me, what does that mean? So for me, a day off means that work does not change what personal thing that I had planned. No, so like on a Sunday that I'm off, do I answer one or two text messages? Of course. Do I say, "Oh, I can't take the day off anymore. I got to go run and see a client"? No, that then it's not a day off. Now I'm working, kind of thing. So, but I take 150 days off. My goal is really to get to about 180, so basically half the year, and still be active in the business. I'm blessed to have a really good support system behind me. I've got a superstar office manager who runs a lot of the things that maybe most normal agents do that I just don't do anymore. And when I'm on, I'm on. So when I'm here, I'm working and I'm focused on what I've got to do. And I've always got another trip or another experience or something in the near like future that's going to happen. And that keeps me focused. And then when I'm off, I'm off. And I really shut down and I really relax to get recharged.
So you're doing, I mean, how much time do you spend between your trips? How much time, and do you put goals to get you to your trip? Like, I want to get to these many
Yeah.
calls, or
So I would say it's seasonal. So,
mm-hmm.
like right now, March, April, very limited on trips
Sure.
because this is the busy season. So I'm here. There's a couple little short things that we're doing. I got daughter's spring break, going on some college campus tours. I got my son's spring break. We're doing some things when he's in town. But for the most part, I'm working the next 2 months, and I'm in the trenches. Come May, it loosens up a little bit. We've got graduations and things are happening in May and June, and then summer. So like summer, I'll take more time off. So I just have learned when the slow times are.
Mm-hmm.
I take advantage of those times. I used to worry about them. I used to be like, oh, I hate August. It's so slow.
Mm-hmm.
Am I ever going to sell another house? Like now I'm like, you know what? August is just slow. It's just slow in our area. We're a big beach destination town, so a lot of people are on vacation. There's not a lot of traffic is almost non-existent in the Washington D.C. area in August. So I've just learned to just enjoy the time that when it's quiet. It is what it is. I could dress up in a monkey suit on a corner with a spinning sign. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get more business. It just means it's slow time, and why should I be doing that? Just go relax and take advantage of that. So it's seasonal. I would say that's the answer. I think that to your question.
The and the seasonal thing, and you nailed that because I mean, you every time it slows down, I know it's seasonal, but I still worry. You know what I mean? Like I still am like, oh man, here it goes. Like I literally had a coaching call today, and she was like, because the first quarter wasn't as great as I'd like it. And she's like, yeah, and last year wasn't, and the year before wasn't, and then you're gonna kick it in, and cool, and it'll be fine, yeah, which I was like, all right, cool. But I think that's big. Knowing, now don't get
Right.
me wrong, did you do your activities, right? Like, did you do what you were supposed to do? Cool. I mean, and you can gear those activities down, but at the same time, like completely like going adrift and going, well, it's just slow this time of year. It's probably not the best. I mean, you're a little bit further down the road and can have a better feeling on that than maybe I can.
And my profile is I'm a rare bird in the sense I'm double structured.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of structure in my world. And if that structure starts to erode, I get very like I can't operate literally. So I run a lot of lists and I'm a big writer. Like it helps me remember things. It helps me just keep things better organized. So I have a lot of lists going. So definitely before a big trip, I will have a series of lists. Like these are absolutes
Mm-hmm.
have to get done before I leave. And it's not only that I want to get them done because they need to get done, but it's also it gets taken out of my brain
Yes.
and then I don't take that baggage with me on that trip. And that has helped me relax during those times because I think when I take that mental baggage with me, I'm pretending to be on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm really not because I'm just thinking about the things I didn't finish. So I've gotten better at that.
Well, that is a huge achievement. I'm working on a version of that before I go to bed so I can sleep even, you know what I mean? But but
Yeah.
but I think that's huge. I think what you just said is massive. I have to get these things done to even be able to disengage because as a business owner, we're always kind of engaged. Like,
And there's always going to be those. I mean, I've also learned there's always going to be those last minute
yeah.
things like you just can't control. That client who you haven't spoke to in 3 years calls you the day before you're leaving for a week vacation. It's going to happen, and you just I've just learned to hopefully handle that the best I can. Again, I got a great support system, and you just gotta know, trust in the system that you're going to hand it off. You're going to go relax. It's the best thing for you. It's the best thing for everything in your world. And when you get back, you will deal with it the way that it's still there. And you just have to trust in the system.
So, and this is definitely a personal question. When you've got that trip planned, the things that we have to get done that we can control, fine. Calls, notes, Popeyes, whatever it might be, cool. Those I hold myself accountable. But as far as like, and I'm working on this, as far as like volume or sales or whatever that I can't control, to say, hey, look, we don't have enough transactions in the queue right now. I haven't earned that vacation. Like I'm working on trying to be like, no, you did your activities though, so you still go on. Like for me, we actually go away this weekend to New Orleans, and that'll be like the first quarter. And when I get back, we're in quarter two, and it's time to run again. And we can't look up until we're through the busy season. Is that something that you feel, or no, it doesn't? That's not as much for you.
I think if you're saying what you're saying, that yes, you always reward yourself on the activities, not on the results.
Yeah.
From a standpoint of you control those activities. So if you've done what you set out to do and you've given it your 100%, and you can say, hey, I did what I said I would do, and the results aren't just there now, but they're coming, you deserve that break. Because if you didn't take the break, then what would motivate you next time to do that same list of activities? You'd kind of be like, well, last time even though I hit it, I didn't get the reward. So why even hit it? I think mentally your brain could start to set a groove in the wrong direction versus I got to do these activities. This is the reward that I get for doing these activities. And over time, it'll snowball into a point where the success will definitely come. It's all about consistency.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, I think that has been a common theme throughout every show. Everybody I've talked to has been like, you just got to be consistent. There,
consistent.
there is nothing else.
It's the ninth wonder of the world, or whatever wonder we're up to.
Yeah, I don't know what wonder we're on. It depends on which advertising commercial,
Exactly.
that sort of thing. So, as a team lead, what advice do you give somebody who's just starting out? Like, you get a new team member that's on your team. What do you tell them?
Um, so it's always been to focus on anything and everything from a standpoint of when you're new, you need to have that blinkety blinkety billboard walking around that you are now in real estate. You got to don't be a secret agent. You got to let your friends know. You got to let your family know. you gotta be out there, because that over time will get you. That's what I did. I moved here from Chicago. I didn't know many people. I mean, I had a handful of people that I knew, and I had to go find those people and really make myself, apparent that this is now what I was doing, to be successful. And again, I come from a time where we still had, I worked the phone duty desk, and I did a ton of open house. I did basically open houses 3 out of the 4 weekends every month. So I mean, I was grinding,
Mm-hmm.
to get. So, and I think today's grinding looks different than it did 20 some years ago. It's not easier or harder, I don't think. It's just different. I mean, you can do video, you can do social media stuff, obviously, that I didn't have access to any of that stuff 20 some years ago. My grind was open houses and phone duty, and doing renters. I mean, I did 26 rentals in my first 12 months of the business, and in the next 2 years 13 of those people bought a home.
Hmm.
So that's really the secret to my success. Is I did 26 rentals, stayed in touch with them, I did a good job for them during that time, and over the next 2 years 13 of them bought their first house. I mean, if you really want the secret to my success, that was my first 36 months in the business, and that's how it all got started.
Do, doing the business that other people didn't want, basically.
Correct. I mean, I put flyers in, again, flyers in all the agents in my office mailbox. I'll do your rentals. I'll do your rentals. I'll do your rentals. And all the older agents in the office who were above rentals said, Pat, I got a renter for you. Pat, I got a renter for you. Pat, and I met with them all. And I just grinded out the rental market, and it put food on my table and let me have a Guinness every so often on a Friday night. And here I am.
Yeah, we like to say we figure out how to pay the bills until the business kicks off. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and doing it in business and not waiting tables is also a plus.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be interesting because I'm in Richmond, which is right up the street from you. We don't have rental agents yet. The rentals are the Wild West. But I mean, if you drive down Broad Street right now, I mean, a couple of years ago they removed the stipulation that buildings could only be 3 stories tall, and we have towers full of rentals being built. I mean, there's like 3 or 5 buildings built a year now, and we're
Wow.
talking massive apartment buildings. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes kind of the market. I'm really curious. I have no idea where that's going to go because I mean, up until now we've been, just you buy, sell a house, condo, that sort of thing. And I was really
Right.
looking to see you know, if some of those buildings would be condos, and so far they haven't been. They're all apartment buildings.
And keep in mind too, like 20 some years ago, apartments.com didn't exist the way
Sure.
that, I don't even know if it did exist, but like getting to a realtor was really the best way to get a rental. And now I don't know how many of the rentals are actually in our system and only available from us. I think there's more avenues to get renters to landlords than
Mm-hmm.
there were 20 some years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say most of
that's
the
changed.
most of the buildings that I'm seeing don't pay commission for that. I mean,
Yeah.
and if it is, it's
Right.
like $200. I mean, you'll burn more
Right.
in
Like a
gas.
finder's fee or introduction
You
fee kind of thing.
pretty much, yeah. So that
Yeah.
that's that'll definitely be different. I just was curious on that. Who's your ideal client now? Like you yourself?
So someone who's dealing with an estate or a trust. I mean, if it comes down to it, that's where I excel. That's what I enjoy most. I'm a control freak, so I just like having a situation that has moving parts and messy parts, and making it all come together, and fixing the areas that I can fix, and seeing it from wherever it starts to I mean, I've cleaned out some homes that are just, I mean, they're crazy. Like my wife wouldn't let me home if she knew the place I was in and how dirty it was. And we've cleaned them out and made them sparkle and sold them. So I like that whole process. And again, it leans into my structure, it leans into my systems, it leads into all those things that kind of fuel me. So that would be the ideal client.
I always like the estate too because it's not as there's some areas that are very delicate because they lost a loved one, and so that part's
Correct.
delicate. But at the same time, they don't have that same attachment to the junk in the house. They haven't been living there for 2 years, going, "No, I need all this stuff." It's usually a family member who comes in or flies in and goes, "Yeah, no, I admit this is a total mess. Well, we're going to pull the trigger and get all this done." So that's always been kind of nice for me. I feel like they kind of some of the mental barriers are gone, and you really can just deal with the problem as opposed to the stuff behind that. Do you find that to be the same?
Absolutely. I think once they, again, mourning someone's death is a big, it's a
Huge.
huge, and you can't take that lightly. But I think once they get past, grandma's sentimental jewelry that they wanted,
Mm-hmm.
or photos that they wanted to keep, or, a couple things that they may have had that they feel is valuable, whether it be monetarily valuable or whether it be valuable from a sentimental standpoint, they're ready to just to get through it as quickly as they can.
Yeah, and
And
deal with.
again, we're there to help. And I always say, I know this is a hard time for you, and I understand that, and I'm here for you. I'm also here to help make this go as smoothly and as quickly as you're ready to do so that I can get you through this. And again, I think that gives them permission to, or me permission to push them along as they need it.
Mm-hmm.
And it also knows that I'm here holding their hand to the extent of just continually to get them in motion. Because if you're not in motion, then there's nothing that's happening. You got to stay in motion, whether you're tiptoeing through it or whether you're sprinting. You got to stay in motion.
But
So,
yeah, motion's important because
yep,
that stuff's not going anywhere. I mean,
correct.
we've literally packed up people's trash because they couldn't make a decision,
Yep,
and shipped it to their new house. And part of that is staying in motion. You know what I mean? Moving forward, because eventually the expense of the house sitting there with the trash in it is going to catch them too. So you're kind of looking at that whole picture and all of that, and that kind of makes it cool. Um, have you found that? I mean, the current market conditions have affected the estates. I found that they did not as much.
no, I mean, like from a negative or positive,
Right.
no. I mean, there's obviously investors out there who want to snatch these things up before
Sure.
they go on the market. But I always go into I mean, I'm an investor myself, so I go into the situation saying, "Hey, I've got my realtor hat on right now. I'm here to help and serve you and do what's best for the family. If at any point in time we decide that going down the path of I want a cash buyer who can close quickly, buy it as is, then we can talk and I can help you do that, whether it be through me or someone I know. But right now, I'm here to look at the everything from a 30,000-foot view and give you the options that you have in front of you so that you make the best monetary decision for the family. And sometimes that is to get it done quickly and a cash deal, 2 weeks, let's just get it done. And sometimes it's not. And I'm here to support whatever decision you guys make.
Yeah, I think that's
So,
big. I think letting them know that you can do that, and then, but also, hey, we're not talking about that now. I mean, if you want that, we got
correct.
it. But we're,
Yep.
I can separate the two.
Yep.
I think that's big. You know, I've also done the whole, hey, we'll list it for this, which is more, or I can buy it for that. And that's with any
Yep.
maintenance deferred real estate because we do it. Like I
Yep.
do a lot of investment stuff, um, which has always been really, really interesting. So, what is your favorite takeaway from any event? Maybe even from one of your trips or experiences or
Wow.
anything.
It's a big
It
question.
doesn't have to be a conference. Give me something good. I mean, you're going to have a hard time beating Wurzbacher and his Sherpa whispering something as he was summiting the mountain, but you give it a whirl.
Oh, biggest takeaway from an event. I mean, I've been blessed to hear some great speakers over my time, whether it be I just got back from a Vegas event and I got to hear Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins, two of my favorite speakers. I mean, I've heard some great people, and there's always little nuggets that I always take.
Mm-hmm.
The one I just took from Tony Robbins is it's one that's it's impacted me a lot. It's basically we get what we tolerate,
Mm.
and for me that was pretty impactful. Both you can look at it from your relationships, you can look at it from your business, you can look at it from your friendships. It's something that I really took to heart, and I've really evaluated those relationships in my life. And I say, wow, okay. So if have tolerated this for a period of time, then that is what I'm getting. I mean, that's if I want more, then I have to stop tolerating the bar basically and raise it to get more. I mean, it's really on us if we want those relationships to be better. So I took that to heart,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I've learned over the 26 years of going to these events is that you're always in a different spot. So I can hear the same thing 10 times, but you're in that one
Mm-hmm.
time when you're in a different spot and you hear it differently, and it makes a great impact. Even though you heard it 9 other times, you just weren't ready to hear it at that point, or it wasn't something within your radar.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that when you're in that right spot and you hear that same message, it really hits you. And I've probably heard that thing from Tony Robbins many a times, but I feel like I'm in a spot right now where I'm like, oh, I got to evaluate that and look a little deeper into that. So,
but that's very true. It's like kind of where you are in your world right then and what you're paying attention to, right? We can only have so many things on the front burner. And if that wasn't the spice going into that dish, then, yes, it's important. I'll put it over here versus what you're
right.
saying. Whereas like, yeah, that one hit me right where I was, which I think that's really cool. If you had a superpower, what would it be? You could go either way on this.
So I thankfully you prepped us with some questions, and I did write this one down.
Okay.
So mine is definitely reading people's minds. That would be my superpower. I would love to be able to approach a person and know what they're thinking all the time. I think that if you had that power, wow, you're literally, the opportunity would be endless.
I feel like that could go either way.
But it also could be a bad thing.
Mom,
really? You think
Mom.
I didn't want to hear that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like that could be, with great power goes great responsibility. Isn't that what they say?
Maybe I could create filters for that power.
Maybe, yeah. Now your power is all you got all these caveats on your power. So I don't know about this. I'm not sure about this. Well,
I think that would be a cool power, though.
Yeah, definitely. I could.
It'd make listing appointments go a lot quicker.
Oh yeah, it would.
Like, they're not going to hire me. I'm out.
Why are you packing your bag? Well, I know.
We
know.
I know.
That sort of thing. We're good.
Or if they say, why is he wasting his time? Will he just pull out the contract for us to sign? I'll be like, we're here. Let's do it.
I know you think the house is worth blah, 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 but you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I got to ask, what do you think the house is worth? And then listen to what they're thinking.
Right. Pretty much. I mean, it's always great when they go with like, what objections do you have? And you could tell they're holding back. And they go, oh, nothing. And you're like, all right, well, we're going to ask some more questions because we really got to get to what's bugging you. You know what I mean? And this way you'd have it right top of mind. You're like,
cut to the chase.
And you'd hit it before you asked it. How powerful would that be?
That'd be good.
This guy's great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. One other question.
Absolutely.
Just thought of it.
Yeah.
What's your next trip?
Next trip is fun. It's my daughter and I. We're taking a road trip. We're going to go look at some colleges that she's considering. She's a junior in high school. So we did it last spring break. We had a great time. And we're going for her spring break this year for 3 days. Her and I on the road. We're basically driving from Virginia. We'll make it down to Florida and then we'll fly back. So it's going to be fun. We have her and I have a good time when we're on our road trip. So it'll be fun.
All the way down to Florida. That sounds like some expensive tuition.
It is very expensive down there. She's got some big aspirations. So
well, there it is.
But I support them all.
Well, I love it. Well, thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it, man. You killed it. So
great. Thanks, Danny.
Tell everybody what market you serve and how they can send their referrals to you.
Yeah. So we operate out of the Washington, D.C. metro area. I'm licensed in Virginia. We've got team members who are licensed in Maryland, D.C., and then we cover West Virginia as well under our expansion office. Best way to probably get me is my cell phone, 703-615-0633.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Danny.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to apply this information to your business immediately. This message will not self-destruct in 5 seconds. Good luck, agents.